Keegan Hyland, great to have you.
Nice to see you, Hayden. Appreciate you having me on.
Just popping my bubbles here, my non-alcoholic Nixie, my all-organic sparkling water. Shout out to Nixie, maybe we'll get a sponsorship from them. But wet my whistle before we dive in. You are a wealth advisor, a former professional basketball player, and deep in the world of meditation and spiritual practice. And I'm so curious. It's really interesting to me. First, you're the real life baller. You're the only baller that I know. And there's so many slang versions of that word and that name kind of thing. It's like someone who actually plays basketball, someone who's really wealthy, but you have this very interesting Venn diagram of having played professional basketball, also being a wealth advisor with Raymond James. I'm so curious to hear about your path and creation of that business for yourself. But yeah, man, just kind of start from the beginning and becoming a serious basketball player, but growing up in Maine and being that little fish in the big pond.
Yeah, it's timely right now with it being March Madness time, because that's kind of where it all started as a young kid. Watching the games of my father and my brother growing up, and my family's from New York City originally, so basketball is the core of everything that happens there. And so I learned the game from a young age with my father and kind of family events. And it just kind of, as a young kid, that was the dream. Can I play in March Madness? Can I be on TV? Can I be in the brackets? And that kind of started a path for me, which was an amazing path. The game of basketball provided a tremendous amount of opportunities, stories, relationships, connections, has shaped my life and given me opportunities now post basketball as well. But it was, it has its ups and downs, right? It was a grind. It was something we were working for every day. Built the relationships in high school and gave opportunities in college and to play abroad. So it was, happy to dive in as far as you'd want into that realm. And certainly my path and journey is different than most. And I think a lot of it is because of the trials and tribulations that basketball brought that helped me grow or forced me to grow and open my eyes to other things.
Yeah. So were you always really talented at basketball? When did you first start playing, first teams, and when did you get hooked and know that not only do I like this, but I'm good at this?
Yeah, I mean, we played from as young as I can remember. We used to live actually not too far from here in South Portland, playing out in the street with my dad and brother, who also played in college as well. So it was something we always did, playing, I think, competitively in first, second grade at the YMCA. And I was always good, better players on my team in the area. And but it was, you're a little kid, so you weren't super focused on it. But I was always kind of, at least in the age group, I was a little bit bigger and better in that space. But it wasn't really till seventh grade that I took it really serious. And I still remember filling out my bracket in seventh grade in my social studies class with Mr. Toll. And I was like, I'm going to be on one of these teams one day.
Wow.
And from that day on, I was every day after school, I was training. I was doing drills, asking everybody, how do you get better? Calling kids from Maine who were playing in college, what can I do? How can I get better? I was probably the annoying young kid that people reached out to me later in life, which was an honor. And I always answered every single one of their calls because I was hopefully they make it. They're not all going to make it, but I was in their shoes, and people were incredibly grateful, generous to me as well.
Yeah. You remember being that kid and making that call.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So you were bigger. How tall are you now?
6'3".
So you're not massive, certainly not by NBA standards, but growing up in Maine.
ESPN says I'm 6'5", so I'm going to maybe stick with that,
Take with ESPN's numbers. I'll take a couple inches. Jeez. You shout out ESPN, I'm 6'4". But how much of a difference did that make when you were younger? Did it really make you stand out as a star player, or was it more the practice and the skills that helped you gain the advantage to become a better player at such a young age?
It was a little bit of both. I always trained, no matter how tall I was I'm going to be a guard. Because I had, whether it was my father or other coaches, it was you're not going to be 6'10", probably, right? So what level do you want to play at?
Mhm.
And yeah, 6'4", 6'3", whatever I am, is tall for me, but that was pretty small in a lot of teams I went to.
Oh,
Right?
interesting.
So, it's a big world if you start going to play in the college or pro level. So I was like, if I can handle the ball and I can be a scorer, doesn't matter how tall I am, I'm going to have a spot on the floor. Certainly became an advantage, especially in the main level. It's what let me get, Division I interests, because I could really score on the wing position at 6'3", 6'4", and pretty athletic. But it was really, coming from Maine, relatively unathletic compared to like the world of basketball. Very athletic minded sport. It was the skill set and the training and kind of the drilling I did, almost to an obsessive level. People who know me would, and self-admittedly, went too far in that direction with balance and these things. But it taught me a lot. It caused me a lot of injuries and some pain and some kind of the off-road part of my journey as well. But yeah.
So you got on at Gonzaga. Was that a challenging process? I mean, what were like tryouts like, and did you walk onto the team, or was even getting accepted to the college going to be an issue for you?
Yeah, so the recruiting process started for mostly going into my sophomore year. I had my first scholarship offer from BU and UMaine, and that was when it was like, oh, this is real. Like maybe I'll be a college basketball player. And at that level, I think it shocked my mom always jokes. She was like, I was in the stands at one point and I was like, I finally realized that you're actually pretty good, like beyond the rec level.
Yeah.
And so I started getting scholarships and letters, and a lot of schools on the East Coast, particularly Ivy Leagues. I was good academically as well. So a lot of the better academic schools around here were recruiting me. But I was like, I wanted to play. Once I got that, I was like, I want to play.
I want to play for a big team.
I want to play ACC, Big East. Duke was my team growing up. So, I kind of had those aspirations and kept working. And, so I took visits and talked to a lot of coaches and, had that aspiration. I actually had committed to, I had an injury my senior year, but I had committed to prep school because I wanted to at least give it a try to go to prep school to see if I could get some offers to the higher level. And once I did that, I had a number of high-level schools, Providence and Syracuse and Vanderbilt, reach out, and then Gonzaga called, and they were a little bit more serious about coming right away after my senior high school. So they came, coach flew out, watched me do a workout within the Selk World gym. They flew me out for an official visit, and I played with the team, and Coach Few offered me kind of on the spot when I was out there. And it was a kind of dream come true at that point to go play.
I bet. Wow. And so what did you study while you were in university?
It's a funny story because my parents were both teachers, so I didn't really have a choice to not be a good student, but I was always pretty good in school with numbers and tests and all alike. But I was convinced I was going to be a professional basketball player 10, 15 years. Europe or the NBA, and then go coach college. Division I knows. You couldn't have told me anything different. I say often, if my 17-year-old self saw me in a suit and tie like I am today, he would
run the other way.
He might have a couple words for me.
Run the other way.
But so I was, they were like, "What do you want to study?" And I was like, "I don't know. What's going to give me the best chance to get a job per se if that doesn't work out?" And so I was an economics major. What I decided to. I didn't really know much about that world at the time. And it was a rude awakening going to college and learning how to study.
Just diving into econ at Gonzaga, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I was just,
that's the deep end.
Just training all the time and getting by high school. It wasn't super hard. So I had a couple wake up exams but then it piqued my interest quite a bit. The economic system and finance and investing in general.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Wow. And so then after school, you carried on and went and played professional ball in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And this is where you became a baller, as I like to say.
Yeah. I think there was a detour in between there.
There's a detour. Okay.
So I went to Gonzaga for a year, and I had my senior high school and then freshman year at Gonzaga had a serious hip injury. They didn't know what it was. Ended up being a labrum tear in my left hip, but it took them about 3 years to diagnose it properly. So I missed my senior.
Did you suffer that playing basketball?
Yeah. And that was part of the overworking and training too much and
Little obsessive, got hurt. It checks out. It checks out.
Yeah. So derailed, I didn't play my senior high school, didn't play my first year at Gonzaga, ended up transferring back east to Fairfield. People don't know this whole story, but I ended up being hurt that whole year and then transferring to Bentley, which is where I ended up getting healthy and playing.
Oh, okay.
That was a dark period for me of losing my identity.
Yeah.
I was a basketball. That was all I knew. That was all I did. Trained. Everything was tied to that. And I started to feel like when I was failing there, I started feeling like a failure as a person. Who am I? Where am I going? Fortunately, I had academics to focus. And I was like, all right, if I'm not going to be able to excel on the court, I'm going to be the top student in the school. Right. So, again, maybe that's my obsessive ability, but I channeled it into something good, which really opened my eyes to learning and finance and education and really soaking in that, which I don't know if I would have done to the same degree if I had been continued on that basketball dials focus path. But it was challenging, right? A lot of years failure, falling down from a prominent Division I program to a Division II program, which again out of high school.
Okay.
I would have marked as, that's a failure. Like to the level you're supposed to be at.
Right.
Ended up being the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of circuitous route, made me a better student, had opened my eyes to other things in the world, and also helped me deal with failure and struggle.
Yeah.
And opened my eyes to meditation and the depth of who I am beyond just what I do.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I don't know. I think a lot of people don't ever get that to some degree. I was in a sense lucky, and also had a family and father, particularly, who was really, the whole family was incredibly supportive. My dad dove in and taught me meditation and things that could help me psychologically when I was, stressed or anxious or having self-doubt issues. So again, I kind of came out the other side and had a tremendous career at Bentley, which was amazing and still to this day is rewarding with the relationships and memories I have, and gave me the opportunity to play overseas. But I think the greatest gift in gem was the dark days and what it opened my eyes and heart to, and has continued to drive an interest as the next chapter of my life.
Yeah, so powerful. Sometimes you have to have those failures. What a great pivot, though, for you to be this driven A-type, goal-oriented achiever. This is your phenotype. This is how I obsess over things. And okay, my lifelong dream since childhood is to become a basketball player, and I got to shift that energy into something different. Yeah, those dark days and those down moments, I can relate. I've had a couple pretty traumatic injuries in my life, and I was pretty serious about paragliding and rock climbing for a long time. And I was very wildly ambitious, I would say, to a fault. And, there's always that like ego-driven like avatar self-reflection of who you want the world to think you are, and so as a child you created this impression for yourself of like, I'm going to be a basketball player and I'm going to achieve XYZ, and when I don't, I'm a failure, because this false avatar that you've created through the ego self-expression is something that you have manifested, and now it's kind of like crumbling away. And similarly, I wanted to be the first person to ever fly a speedwing, a miniature paraglider off the summit of Half Dome in Yosemite National Park. And I crashed up there and broke my neck. It was a near-death experience, a NDE, and very revelatory for me as well. I had helicopter flight for life off the summit. And similarly, when I came back down, it took me a while to get there. But eventually I started saying, I still believe it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I almost died, like very dark time. But the path I was on of this, wildly overambitious kind of rock star party, adrenaline junkie, crazy athletics and sports got me to a place of literally on the brink, on the cliff's edge. And sometimes it takes like injury to manifest like that new reality for yourself. So I can relate. And so how did that then go from graduating with an MBA to getting back into basketball?
Yeah, so I hadn't played for 3 years, pretty much. I was a shell of myself physically, another whole rabbit hole, but I took I was doing Reiki, right? My father
Yep.
trained up to do Reiki, and I went to someone in Waltham when I transferred to Bentley.
Your father practiced Reiki.
So he kind of amazing. He like went to training because he thought it would help me when I was in.
For you.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Shout out.
So yeah, he I don't even know. I don't think he still does it to this day, but he did a lot of training on that.
Mhm.
And just, he did. Both my parents and brother were trying to do everything to help me.
Mhm.
I had a lot of injuries. It was multiple things, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. It wasn't until Reiki, there was this woman in Boston I went to, and she, at the end of it, she was like, "Have you ever heard of John Sarno?" And it's called TMS, or tension myalgia syndrome. And I was like,
Say it again. Tension
myalgia syndrome.
Okay.
And I was like, no, because when you're in the basketball world, it was like, go see doctors, MRI, something's wrong, like broken.
Classic Western medicine.
Surgery, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I had been hurt for 4 years in constant pain, was about to get another surgery on my nerves to like flip them, because I had constant pain in my arms. And and she's like, would you be open to looking into something? I think it could help you. And so it was this doctor who's since passed, but he was kind of the founder inside of it. And it's all about this connection of the mind to the body, and how psychological pain, anxiety, stress, or emotional grieving, anything like that, when it's not properly expressed, it will manifest in the body as a distraction and a physical pain. And it's very intelligent, where it will go to areas where you believe there's actually something wrong, right? A lot of times back pain. He started the thesis with healing back pain in his book. And but it can be anywhere, right? And with me, it was in my ankles or my knee or my hip. And I always was like, there's got to be something wrong with me. I'm in constant pain. Yeah. And the whole thesis is there's nothing wrong with you. Like physically, there's nothing wrong with you, which made sense because I had been hurt for 3 years. I hadn't been doing anything. But it's the mind creates this pain. Essentially, it sounds crazy to some people. It's what cured me, or helped me regain my body essentially in life. Is that the blood flow is restricted from the brain, which causes intense pain in certain areas. And until you can break that psychologically, like understanding, no, there is nothing wrong. My body is fine. My body is strong. My body is whole.
You have to believe.
Yeah, it's really the belief that cures yourself.
Exactly.
And most people, especially Western medicine, it's like, that's hocus pocus.
Yeah, it's woo woo.
And it was hocus pocus to me too. I was like, I read it kind of like with one, but I kept reading these stories of everybody. I'm like, well, why does my pain jump around from one thing? It doesn't make any sense scientifically. And so I went deep into like journaling and therapists and coaching to try to process, a lot of the pressure and stress I had going to play at Gonzaga, coming from high school, from Maine, trying to live up to these expectations of the world, but also the intensity that I trained myself with and berated myself with, like, to get to those standards. And it's a lot. And then slowly but surely, like, the pain began to break. And
amazing.
Through my, I kind of had one last chance at Bentley to play, and I ended up getting fully healthy for my third year. And then I played 3 more and had an extra year because of that to get my MBA, and had,
amazing.
Great career, and with an amazing coach and teammates, and an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. But that kind of set me up to have the opportunity to accomplish my goal playing professionally.
Wow. So the TMS.
Yeah.
Have you heard of GNM, Germanic New Medicine?
Yeah.
So the two have very similar schools of thought.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact science behind the GNM. And for what I remember of it, I can't remember the German doctor's name. One thing that really stands out to me that I find to be pretty significant is that to take the Hippocratic Oath in the nation of Germany, you have to swear to not practice GNM, because it is so far out and spiritual and woo-woo and not backed by science that you're literally not allowed to do it as a licensed doctor in the nation. But it states that essentially there is no real sickness or malaise or diagnoses like an allergy or a psychological trauma like a PTSD or an ADHD or different kinds of cancers that really exist, because they are all rooted in psychological trauma that have manifested within the body. And so it might have been the 30s or 40s, but this German doctor did some serious studies where he connected parts of the brain and measured the brain waves and how they interacted with like the synapses connected to the different parts of the body that were like injured, whether people had allergies or sicknesses or whatever, and was able to map out that like, no, the trauma that you experience from, um, you know, stabbing your foot when you were a kid has led to this chronic foot pain as an adult. And I'm getting the science a little bit muddied on it, but it sounds very similar to TS, where it's like there is a factor in the brain that is actually perpetuating the sickness and like accentuating it, even like keeping it there.
Mm-hmm.
And I love saying that like the placebo is real, right? Because if you don't actually believe it, it will never be real. And it's only once you do believe the thing can it then be real.
Yeah.
And so very cool. You're able to heal your body. Your dad became a Reiki energy worker. Very cool.
Yeah, it was
from humble upbringing in South Portland School District here in the coast of Maine. Wow.
Yeah, it was
very worldly to have embodied that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it went from I was in constant pain for 4 years. I never thought I was going to be healthy again. I was anxious. I don't know, not clinically depressed, but like I was not in a good spot. I was dark couple days, couple years, to the point where I haven't had pain in 20 years now, 15 years. So
amazing.
People can say it's hocus pocus or whatever it is, but
but it works for you.
There's some reality there.
It works for you.
And I think there's a lot of society that could. It's hard to teach people this because it's contrary to what they believe. But I'm a huge believer, and I still read a lot of my spirituality work and meditation, the connection of emotions and how our society suppresses them, especially as men.
Absolutely.
You know, women, it's in different ways, right? But men in sports, it's like tough, competitive, don't show weakness. And I think that there's a lot of amazing things that sports teaches us, how to be disciplined, to work with others and to accomplish goals and set things and delay sense gratification. But there's a lot of really toxic things as well, like being ultra competitive and judgmental, like these things. To your point, I can really relate with, you know, like the extremes of these dopamine seeking for achievement. And it's like, well, I've been working with that with sport and also my business. Well, what am I why am I trying to achieve this? Is it for myself or is it for external validation? Is it for to feel good from the world? And I think a lot of that is driven in sport that way. And it's that's your identity, that's your ego, that's where you feel good. But who are you when you strip all that away? And I think a lot of that is the emotional side. If you can't access or sit with yourself or be quiet and feel things, right? The body's going to make you feel in other ways, whether it's anxiety issues or pain issues or different things, and you keep distracting it. So it's been a huge part of my practice and continued path of, you know, self-development and growth and trying to be the best person I can be for myself first, but then for the world and the community.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. It's powerful. You know, your aura just has its own fractal essence, and all that energy is going to trickle down, and your lessons are going to help people around you. You know, the anecdotal research of your study of the TMS worked for me. It's amazing because I believe it right away. You know, I'm like sitting with you here in person, and like I trust you as a person. I'm like, that magic is real.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been having a harder and harder time like trusting all institutionalized science, and the more data that comes out about, you know, these vaccines are bad, and it's like it's hard to believe something that's not firsthand experience. And so I think that as we grow as a society and a culture, and it's going to be even more important that we have people willing to step into alternative sources of healing and belief and spiritual practice. And again, intertwining them with our normal lives. There's that Venn diagram. Again, you know, there's no reason why you can't be deep in the world of classic corporate finance, but then also have spiritual practices for yourself.
Yeah.
And so take me from Bentley to Netherlands.
Yeah. So graduated. I went back and got my MBA, as I said, and then I hired an agent out of Greece Elias, who's a good friend of mine still to this day, but looked at opportunities all around the world, and landed with a team in Zwolle, right outside Amsterdam, and in the Netherlands, and kind of got to go and play for a year over there. I had ambitions of playing for a really long time, and but was taking it 1 year at a time, and moved to a small little Dutch city town, and had my own apartment, my own little miniature smart car. We drove around and bicycle, and
very European.
It was very European. We walked to the market every day, and my team, there was 4 Americans, so we were all close together. JT, Yoho, and Clayton, and there was 2 JTs actually, but we became close and had our Dutch teammates, and it was an eye-opening cultural experience, and it was something that I vowed when I went over there. I was like, I'm going to use this year to grow, not only as a basketball player, but we had a lot of free time on our hands, a lot. We had double sessions every day. We were training at 10 and then at 3, and I'd go back and I'd read or I'd study a lot of investments, and it kind of had a passion for the stock market and real estate investing and a lot of different ways to build wealth, just as I built my physical body, my basketball career, and kind of looking for those new avenues, but also like intertwined with the community and culture, and try different things, and became close with a Dutch family over there as well. So it was intense. It was all on basketball all the time. We had a really good team. We ended up finishing the year losing in the finals to another team, Groningen. And European basketball is a lot different. It's less finesse like the States. It's more physicality. The rules are a little bit different. The grind of the seat is beautiful. I mean, you have them hitting the bells, and the European fans are a different animal, and but all amazing people. It was a country that's beautiful. It's clean. It's people are friendly, simple, down to earth. Care about their family and food and tradition. And I got to experience all of that. And the game brought that to me, that experience to see the world and make some money while doing it, which was always a goal of mine. And except it's kind of funny now, I probably would have made more money in college this day and age than I did professionally back then, because the world's changed. But I had a great year. I ended up having a bad concussion midway through the year, which is why I decided to stop playing and kind of return to the States and onto my next chapter. But it was a year I'll never forget.
So you got through school, got the MBA, but you weren't giving up on the basketball. Was there something that like kept you in it? You're like, no, I still want to play. You got an agent. Like, did you never let go of the dream? You're like, I still wanted to be a professional.
Yeah.
Was there a shift, or were you always on that path? Stokes Picks are the world's first organically flavored nicotine toothpicks. Produced in the great state of Maine from American white birch wood, which is sustainably harvested and grown in the great state of Maine. They have incredible flavors: vanilla mint, lemon ginger, cinnamon clove, and absinthe. And if you enter the promo code Enter the Unknown, you'll receive 20% off your order at stokespicks.com.
I think it was, I had 3 or 4 years where I didn't play. So I was
hungry.
I was hungry, and I was feeling good finally. And I got back and had a lot of success at Bentley. We won a lot of games, had great teammates who made runs in the postseason, and had a lot of accomplishments there. And I just didn't feel like I was done. And again, it had been from those early days in 7th grade to circle, playing in college. It was like on my vision board was college and be a professional basketball player to whatever degree that meant.
Yeah.
And so it was something I had to try and give a shot of how long it went. And I still had the fire for it. And it was interesting. By the end of that year, the fire had shifted. It was, I never would have thought it, but first time in my life at the end of the year, I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to be done. And I still play a lot to this degree, but it was like my body and mind had put a lot into it and gone through a lot. And I was just ready to move to a new chapter. But it was it was a fiery period of life of trying to reignite
I bet
my body.
I bet being young too, in your 20s, it's just you're made of like magic and rubber and just bounce off anything and go for everything. I think that, in my personal life, I consider myself to be very spiritual. And one of my favorite overlaps is the world of like sports and athletics and spirituality. And kind of where I find that overlap to be is when you're really passionate and you're fully immersed and you're obsessed, you're really in something, you can oftentimes get into flow state where you're so focused on the moment or the task at hand that everything else you're able to shut out. You're able to like get into the zone.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've been there a bunch of times in your like athletic career. Tell me some stories about being in the zone and playing ball.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I still play basketball and kind of hadn't gotten there in a while, and I did this weekend playing just pick up on Sunday. But I was always a scorer. Like that's everyone who knows me would categorize me that way as someone who could score a lot of points.
Yeah.
Some people would say I didn't play a lot of defense. I would beg to differ on that, but I definitely was more of a scorer than a defender. But in basketball, it's like at least for me, it was like at the times where it was just the basket was the size of the ocean. And like I was a shooter, making tough shots was what I did, and there was multiple games where scoring 30, 40, 50 points in a game, and you're just you can't miss. Right?
Yeah,
you're coming down. It's like you hit me anywhere. It doesn't matter. And this happened a lot playing pickup, and we played for hours as kids, not even when the lights were on. But in games, just vivid memories of game. My highest scoring game in high school, I had 47 points.
Wow.
The future state championship team that won, and it was like 7 or 8. You watch the film back, and you're like, oh, like how did I make that? But you're right. You just get to you train yourself enough, and you muscle memory enough that you can just flow.
Yeah.
And everything's going right. And you're kind of the defense is almost in slow motion. Like it's like you versus you. And I would say there's not a whole lot of times in life that are more blissful and sweet than that. Like you feel like you're in control of things.
Yeah, breathing and moving and flowing. And I've never been a big like team sports player. I did some stuff when I was younger, but pretty early on I got into like rock climbing and mountain biking and skiing, which are all like individual practices for the most part. Rock climbing, you have a partner, but you're not on a team in the same way. But I can imagine what a cool feeling that is to have your team, your camaraderie, you're working towards the same goal. You're all part of this like unit fighting for the challenge of the high school state championships or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you are so deeply immersed in it that although you're part of this bigger unit, you're still in your solo flow state and just like charging and going ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be, it's beautiful in different ways. I mean, there's times where you're just so connected with your teammates and moving the ball and defensively, and the communication is all lined up. But then it's the other part of it is like the individual side of it. I was a big scorer, right? So a lot of times you can take over a game and do a lot of things on your own. At Bentley, I had, we had a lot more talent. So it was more the interconnectedness when we're all playing together and playing a couple of games that were scoring 120 points, and everybody's making shots, and we're like feeding off each other, right? So it is, and the more I've kind of like done work on the meditation and reading, is it's like you're getting to that flow out of the analytical mind into the body, and that's the practice, right? Like the more we can do that in life, not just in sport, is that's blissful. That's where your heart's open. That's where you're connected to the world and kind of your higher self. And it's been interesting to reflect on that in 10, 20 years past about, I did experience that. Like, how do I continue to get there more often? So I'm sure with your the extreme sports, the individual sports, like your daunting challenges of you got to be dialed in, right? You got to be in that flow state or you'll get hurt. So it's a different dynamic. Then we'll lose by 30, you might die. So it's a little bit different threat.
Yeah. I've had a fun kind of dichotomy with that, where for a long time I was a very serious rock climber, really pushing the limits, and rock climbing can become very dangerous. You see like the Alex Honnolds of the world who are doing massive free solos. But similarly, they are able to kind of like control and harness that fear and that autonomic state, because if your heart's ramped up and adrenalized, you're going to be sweating and you're going to be nervous and you're going to shake. That's a lot more dangerous, whereas you see someone like Honnold, he's doing the most difficult, most dangerous climbs in the world, and he's not phased by it.
Yeah.
And so my dichotomy was that, and then my evolution into paragliding, which is, a soft canopy fabric wing that you're essentially like running off of a cliff, so to speak, with. But really, it's a couple short minutes of excitement as you're launching. But then once you're in the air and you're flying, it's very calm and very fluid, and you're not adrenalized, you're not ramped up. And there aren't any more moments of like, if I make a mistake, I could die. And you do have to become like really lasered in, actually. I read a book a long time ago called The Rock Warrior's Way by Arnold Ilgner, I believe was his name. And it was a rock climbing training book, but his whole thesis was about the mental acuity. And he called it firing the laser, like getting into that flow state where you're harnessing all of your mental focus onto exactly the thing. And with climbing, it's like, okay, grabbing a specific hold in a specific direction, and hold A plus hold B plus foot movement C equals the equation of D. And I've used all these components of mind and body to fire that laser and like get into the focused state. I think it's really cool that people have their own like versions of that whenever they do. You're finding the laser playing basketball, and name it any sport. Like people get in the zone, they get in flow state, they fire the laser.
Yeah.
I really enjoy hearing other people's kind of like path through that. And so you left the Netherlands and then immediately started the practice here in the United States. Give me a little background on like your title and Raymond James, what you do.
Yeah. So I'm a title changes at times, but managing director of wealth management at Raymond James with Portland Harbor Group. So it's with my team and my practice here in Portland, Maine.
Mm-hmm.
I started it. It was 1 year between. I went and coached for a year in college.
Okay.
Actually, my brother was a senior on the team, so it was a really
cool
family experience and whatnot. So I was up in Syracuse at Moyne College, but that was kind of like my off ramp from basketball.
Segue.
Like, am I going to go coach? Like I always thought. It was an amazing year, had a blast, but realized it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life long term. I wanted to have more stability. I wanted to have a little bit more control over how hard I work and the success that I could have or provide for my family. And I also wanted to be back in Maine. And I knew that wasn't going to happen with the coaching. So I came back here in 2018 and really struggled for 9 or 12 months about what am I to do? Like basketball was all I knew.
Yeah.
I had good grades and had done well in business school and knew I've had opportunities, but I was like, is that who I am? Is that, am I going to be happy with this? So,
am I going to wear a suit and tie to work every day?
I did soul searching for 9 months, really. And again, it was another challenging period of time. And ultimately decided to take a risk on myself. And instead of trading it for a suit and tie on Wall Street or in Boston and working for corporate America, that didn't ever sit with my gut. Like that wasn't what my calling was to do in this world. And it's great for others. Mine was to start something, to take a chance and risk and build something like I had with my career in basketball. And so I started with Raymond James. They provided an incredible opportunity to essentially be a coach, right? Like, can I be a wealth coach? All the things I studied in Europe, in college, and in my early years, can I bring that knowledge back to the community, to people in Maine, all over the country now, but specifically in Maine, and help. I was doing it for free with my friends and teammates in college, like giving them tips on investments and tax strategies and these things. And I was like, well, maybe I could be pretty good at this. And so started with 0 clients in end of 2018, and just got to work and kind of took the blueprint of what helped me build my basketball career to build my business. And it was, outwork everybody, treat people well, create value, and just put your head down one day at a time. Don't try to climb the mountain from the base. And it's been, I'd say, the longest but fastest 7 or 8 years of my life building this. And it's been all around people and helping others genuinely. And caring about them and their families and where they want to go, and being a steward or shepherd for that, and through the resources and knowledge and expertise my team and myself have. And it's been, I couldn't be more fortunate to be in a profession that I love. And it's interesting, every time I need to make a big decision, my gut will kind of tell me, even though my mind fights it sometimes. And
I'm sure.
sometimes it takes longer than most people would like, or I would like, but I end up being in the right place at the right time. And now being able to build a business in a community like Maine and be back around family and friends, and has been pretty special the last number of years.
Yeah, I bet. That's fantastic. 8 years, huh? You said it was about a third of your workflow, the interpersonal kind of client connection, almost like a customer service aspect. Tell me a little bit more about that, like how interacting with people takes up time.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the relationships with people. That's why I got into the business in the first place, was not to make a ton of money or to be, get accolades or anything like that. I came from a very, very happy family. My parents were both teachers, and, we had everything we needed, but, we didn't live glamorously by any means. And I think that grounded us in who we are, and the happiness and satisfaction with less is more. And so for me, it was, watching my parents be teachers and being a coach myself and being in sports is like, I remember vividly, like we would go to family events, and, my dad's family was in New York, and some of them made a lot more money than he did. And, people would ask him, what do you do? Or what do you make? And it always stuck with me, is like, he used to say, I make a difference. What do you make? And it wasn't ever about money with them. And for me, it was a way to blend money and finance and providing and building a business, but also with making a difference in the people, and actually sitting across the table or on the same side of the table with my clients and seeing them accomplish their goals, and getting them to retirement, or getting their kids to college, to helping them through stressful situations like we're seeing right now. The markets are chaotic, and, being that person that they can count on. So I don't think I overestimated that at all. It's really about getting to know the people that I work with and their families, and what are their goals. And I can't do my job purely just like analytically. I mean, I guess I technically could, but I don't think I'd be very good at my job if I did that. And that's what makes the relationships sticky and grow and build. And I think a lot of the success I've had is because of that being the focus, and not the money or the results. It's like the referrals and the growth of the business has come because, I think I genuinely, care and really put them people first, not just in a slogan, but that's how I've interacted and tried to frame the philosophy of the business.
Oh, wow. That's kind of beautiful, honestly, like fostering that authentic connection with people just through truth and honesty and being a real person. Like, I know so many people, myself sometimes included, are like kind of jaded by the world of finance and knowing people in that world. And there's a lot of sharks out there who operate maybe overly rationally and are only focused on money and the bottom dollar. It takes the human element out of the equation. And, you're looking at someone's life savings, and it's not just a number on a screen, but it's, this like generational wealth that they have so many hopes and dreams and expectations for. It's really cool that you're able to line up those pieces. It's like another element of spirituality, almost like true thoughtful emotion, like a woven into your like daily practice. Tell me more about your daily spiritual practices.
Yeah, it's thanks for asking. It's been something that's evolved. It is continuing to evolve. When you got here, we were talking about, I just took a class with transcendental meditation, and something I had looked at when I was in Europe and never really moved forward with, but have now. And it's been this beautiful new practice to ground my meditation practice now. But it was something that was necessary. I don't know if you felt this way as like a high performer or an athlete, is like you get so driven and consumed in that all the time that it can consume you. And for me, there was periods of time with my basketball career and playing career, or building my business, was I needed balance. I needed ways to turn off, or else it wasn't gonna be healthy long term. My body was going to shut me down.
Yeah, burnout.
The same way it did with injuries, it just would not do it with something more serious. Right. And I've seen it happen with a lot of people in my industry.
Yeah.
And people who are just so focused on success or money or these things, and they end up having illnesses. And to me,
Classic stressed out middle-aged dad has a stroke on Wall Street
all the time, right?
Yeah.
Heart attack, cancer, these things, and they're real. And I believe in that mind-body connection. And I'm like, it's not going to be me. And because I don't care, money's not the most important thing. My health is, my family is, my connection with spirituality is, it's developed to. So I dove into a period where I was consumed. I was having more anxiety than I don't think anyone loves to have anxiety, but I was like, I'm just stressed all the time, waking up and just fight or flight in that fear mode. Like, boom, what do I got to get done? And just no softness. And so I dove into meditation, and I asked some people I really respected who were into meditation, like, hey, do you have coaches or retreats? Or I just I knew there was deeper layers to what I had been doing. I had been meditating since I was 16, more as like a chore. And my dad gave me like 10 minutes a day. Like, you got to do it to start the day, which is beautiful, helped me a lot. But it was more like, I hate that part of the day. Like, let me just get through it so I can do everything else I need to do. And that's kind of the antithesis of what meditation is.
Yeah, of course.
Which is,
shouldn't be work.
Time in life. And so I ended up finding a man, Eli Buren, who I worked with as a coach, and he runs a retreat in a men's retreat in Zion, which is how you and I actually connected originally through a mutual friend who was on that retreat. And to me, that was like this new chapter of my life. I went to this retreat in the middle of Zion National Park. I didn't know anybody, and we were going to be off the grid camping for 7 days, 8 days. I remember telling people at work, they're like, "You're going where? Like, you don't know anybody?" Like,
sounds like a cult.
Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, you're going to keep your phone on so like we can find you if something happens." And I think my parents were a little like that too, and family. And I was like, there's a calling to this. Like, there's something I need to learn here. There's depth of things. The stress is just an outlet of what's going on, the unsettledness. And it was the most amazing week that, like, I tell people all the time, it's like peeling the onion to your core and your spirituality of getting out of the ego, out of the mind, out of the what can I make? Where am I? What's my title? All of these things which drive a lot of the world in America. But it was like, to my core, who am I as a man? Who am I when it's quiet, when there's struggle, when I'm just in pure nature? Like, we did a whole day of silent meditation. You had to find a spot, 10 feet circle, and he called it retreat day. Surprised us on like Thursday of the retreat. And you had to go sit in this area in the hot sun and find your spot and just meditate to whatever degree that meant for you. To me, it meant, don't go work out, don't do anything, don't read, don't be productive, just sit and let your mind see what happens.
Sacred silence.
And the connection to nature was like unlike anything I ever, like, nature started talking to me.
Yeah.
Not in like crazy, but like you could hear the wind. Like, it was like, it felt like almost Native American. Like, the stories they had are what starts when you really can still your mind into.
Were you sitting on the ground?
Yeah.
It's literally grounding.
Yeah.
Powerful. Just touching grass.
I was in this like rocky hill.
Rock.
And and there was a tree, and it was like, you were so grateful for the tree from protecting you from the sun, and like all these like very, back to nature components that we don't live in. And I came out of there a different person. Truly far happier, far more open, loving. Like, anxiety was dropped, but you had to come back into the world. You can't just live there all the time. So it's been this practice for me of, how do I continue to know what's possible, who I am, and move from that lack mentality to that abundance for the world. And it's been this, journey I've been on. I've met amazing people like yourself, and I went on a separate retreat to Iceland, and just, I've met so many people in this community that have enriched my life, and I hope I've had some impact in theirs. And it all plays into who I am as a person, how I can show up for my clients, for my family, for the community. And it's kind of exciting because I'm just getting started with this process.
Oh, cool.
As I'm sure you are.
We're starting to scratch the surface.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Icelandic retreat. I know it was like Wim Hof retreat. I don't know much otherwise.
Yeah. So I have a college friend who I saw right about when I went to Zion. He posted all these pictures of hiking with no clothes on other than swim trunks in Iceland and jumping in rivers and talking. He made this big post on LinkedIn about how life-changing it was for him. And I remember reading it and I was like, this guy's out of his mind. Like, kind of go into the judge mentality of like, well, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
And then I had this experience in Zion, which wasn't cold, or it was more on the hot side. But I was like, I got to go meet this guy.
Yeah.
Again, reconnect. And so we had coffee. John Mixus is a really close friend of mine now, lives down in Boston. And he shared his experience, and we just started building this bond on our own spiritual journeys of, oftentimes it takes something that, whether it's a near-death experience or injuries or stress, like something causes you to want to go that way.
Yeah.
Or
people need a catalyst.
Forces you to some degree.
Yeah.
I think. And he had trouble with similar stuff as me. And so we forced this friendship, and he invited me. He was co-hosting it with someone who had trained, Joran de Bern, who trained under Wim Hof, to challenge your body, challenge your mind, and see who you are when you're able to break through and push yourself to those brinks. And I was terrified, honestly. I was like, yeah, he'll do it. And because I had done some cold work in the oceans and breath work and these things, but more controlled. And I still remember when I was going over there, I was terrified, but I was like, you know what? John's going to be there. He swears by it. I trust him. I'm going to lean into this as part of my path.
Yeah.
And again, it was an incredible experience. Changed my life in a different way than Zion. It was, there was different lessons to be learned, different people to connect with. Joshua Church is a really close friend of mine. He just published his book, and he's one of the first guys that started cold plunge businesses with his company Edge. And just learning through his experience and in the web of all of this, but the ability to watch your mind and how it's trying to protect you, but how much more powerful you are from between and all of the love and energy and goodness that can come out of when you do this work. And I think it was right during the tariff issue, and there was, Trump had been elected. There was a lot of fear and hate in the world from both sides. Right. And other countries don't like Americans right now and all of these things. And we went to this Iceland retreat. It was like 15 people from all around the world, Peru, England, Netherlands, Mexico, US. And we became a family in 12 days.
Yeah.
And we didn't see color anymore. We didn't, men, women. We went through this experience together. And when you opened, it was like, that's who everybody is. Everybody is a loving, good person. They just have a lot of stuff stuck in the way.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And so Joran, does kind of God's work, I think, of helping people access this who are, successful business people and struggling with different areas, and, people in he was a former professional athlete in soccer, and that's what forced him. It got him into this with injuries too. But it's just been part of this path and this journey that I've been fortunate to ride so far.
Tell me about some of the challenges in the Icelandic retreat. What were you faced with? How did you learn those lessons? What'd they make you do?
Yeah, you get to the sweet spot, right?
Yeah, let me get to the good stuff here.
Yeah, the first day, he doesn't tell you what you're going to do at all. He's kind of like, and I'm just like, all right, we'll trust you.
There's no itinerary.
No itinerary.
Fully ambiguous.
Well, Joran, if you ever get to know Joran, he's not an itinerary guy.
Okay.
He's a flowy guy. Like he goes with it, and I love him, and he just has this intuition to what he's doing. But he gathers us all around. We're all kind of nervous, and he's like, "We're going to go to Portal 1."
Portal.
He called it Portal. Okay. And he intentionally uses his words.
Yeah.
Which I think better than most people do.
Yeah.
And he's like, "We're going to go to this portal where you're going to come out a different person. Right? You're going to transform through this journey." And it was, I don't know if you've been to Iceland, but Iceland's weather changes like this.
Yeah.
It's like sunny and beautiful, and then you have a monsoon of blizzard and like wind and a hurricane. So we were in the hurricane side. It was like, I thought the house was going to blow over. There's snow going sideways. He's like looking in retrospect, talked to John, and he's like, I don't know if we're going to go do anything right now because it's not safe. But anyway, he gets us all together and kind of talks about how to breathe, how to get it face cold and not to fight it, but to surrender to it, to breathe into it, to relax, which is the antithesis of how most people do cold. They're like, tighten up, clench. I'm going to beat it. Yeah. Which is going to kick your ass if you do that. So he teaches us and shares his story, and we kind of all gather in and we get all our clothes and we take our smaller European cars and drive about a mile to the side of the road. And he's like, all right, we're going into Portal 1. We're on the side of like this cow farm. And it's blizzard, like feet of snow, and we're all hiking through this like cow farm down this path.
What are you wearing?
Oh, we're like fully clothed.
Fully clothed.
So like you're full like snowsuit, you're good. But we know there's something coming. Yeah. So we hiked probably a mile all the way down to this river. It's the front of the river that goes into the ocean of the ocean of the mouth of the ocean. And there's a waterfall coming down, and it is just like crazy terrain. And he's like, all right, everybody, like, go down to your bathing suit. There's 15 of us. We're on like this little like beach thing. Teaches us this like Qigong breath work to get your body going. And he's like, I give you the opportunity. He didn't say it was challenge or like a fight. He's like, here's your opportunity. And we go into the water.
Like, I'm presenting you a gift if you would like to receive it.
Exactly. You can say no, but not really. So, and I'm like, the alpha competitive athlete. I'm like, all right, I got to be the toughest. I can't show any weakness. I'm going to go in this water. I'm going to stay in the longest. I'm going to, and I did all that. And so we get in this, I mean, it's the coldest water I've ever been in my life. The waterfall's coming down. I can still see it to this day. Snow and wind everywhere. It's kind of chaos. I lead us all in. Everybody else comes in, and I find my space, and I'm, breathing into. They teach you how to do this.
So you're in the water. You're immersed.
Yeah. So we're in the water. Hailing. They teach you to breathe through a straw. Long exhales. Control your breathing. And you've done cold work. We've done some of this together. So I finally, Yoram would tell you, you got to go to a place where time stops. If that's what you've made, right? You're not fighting anymore. You've surrendered, and you're just in this like blissful peace. And I get this. It's like 3 or 4 minutes in. I'm just like, the waterfall's coming. It's beautiful. All the chaos is just like a beautiful chaos. And I start seeing all of my people from the group around me in their own process. And I just like, yell like a caveman, like just euphoric, like incredible yell and scream, and like open the door for everybody else. Like everybody had so much fun and started like just joy and excitement and like challenge and just the raw nature of things. And so I'm sitting there, and the biggest lesson here was really cool. Everybody starts to get out, and I'm like, nope, not me. I'm with it. And there's this
first one in, last one out.
100%. And that's, how much of that is ego? 100%, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I actually proven anything. But there's a girl that became a really good friend of mine, Raina from LA, and she's sitting in there, small girl, bikini, she's freezing, she's like this. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, she's possessed. Like, she's like, I don't think she's going to get out. She's going to like, and all of a sudden I was in this like clarity mode, and I was like, I don't need to compete. I don't need to beat anybody. I'm proud of like what I've done. And maybe I can give her this gift to win. I don't know where she is in life. I just met this girl. Maybe she needs this win more than I do. And it was like a protector type thing. I was like, she's going to hurt herself. The old me would have been like, I don't care. I'm winning. Yeah. So I get out and I kind of like place my hand on her shoulder, and I was like, you're doing great. Like, proud of you. Nice. And I get out. Little do I know at that point, the tide is rising. So everybody, and we see this chaos. the tide's like eating our clothes. So it's freezing cold, like 10 degrees. So everybody's scrambling. Nobody can feel their hands. Everybody's trying to get their clothes back on. So it was just this mad scramble for 30 minutes, like probably pretty dangerous, honestly, in retrospect.
Yeah.
Like John and Joshua and Jordan are helping us all clothe, and we get to go like a mile back to the car.
Yeah, still got to hike out. Yeah.
And so me and Arturo, who's my good friend from Peru, take care of this girl, Raj. She's like really cold. And it was, for me, this point of like, it's not about me anymore. Like I'll be all right. Like, can I take care of this person? Can we get her to safety? And like all of us kind of like came together. And by the end, everybody was safe. Everybody was fine. Like we'd help people get warm. We're laying on the heated floor when we get back to the lodge. And it was just like this, everyone starts like laughing, crying, like happiness. And it's just this like raw experience that you can't possibly replicate through words. That brought us, that was day one. But I was like, that was challenge one.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the week, as we did something similar to that every day.
Yeah. The portal. Awesome. So was it all water immersion? I know Wim Hof's famous for like, I don't know if he did Everest barefoot or something crazy like that. Did you have to do some hard barefoot hikes or anything like that?
Yeah. So we did a lot of water, a lot of the river. We did a kind of no clothes meditation under a waterfall, leaking snow, which was probably one of the harder things to be still with and no movement. We hiked one of the national park mountains, not barefoot, but with shoes and just swim trunks, nothing else.
Wow.
There's pretty gnarly.
Basically naked.
Pretty much. Yeah. And I had more clothes than the women. The women were bikinis, so they're tougher than we are. But we hiked all the way up here, jumped in this like glacial runoff at the top, and then we, on the way down in the sunset, sat in these glacier or the hot springs. And we like hot tub down the rest of like for hours.
Oh,
it was incredible.
Wow. How many hours on the hike?
The hike was like 3 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And then natural hot springs after that.
Yeah, and it was snowing the whole time.
Yep.
20 degrees, probably. And again, can you breathe through it? You're safe if you can control your breath. If you start panicking, that's where you have issues. It kind of coaches you through. The hot springs were nice. And then we did pretty intense breath work. So we did 1.5-hour sessions of Wim Hof breath work.
Yep.
And retention. And that's pretty intense if you've never done it. And
I've done a couple of Wim Hof practices.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Kundalini breath and fire. And did you alternate nostrils to do some of that work too? Like that?
We did some of that. Yeah. And then, like really like Wim Hof, like feel your whole body,
feel it out,
let it go.
But
like we did it to music, and it was like group sessions of just like this intensity, and then dramatic holds. And then, you get these like out of body experiences when you do it.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful stuff. I still do practices myself.
We did
when I need a nervous system reset, or it's part of my ritual that I do, once a month or twice a month, depending. But all these tools I've learned through the people I've learned from, and practices, and they're all part of my toolbox of how I keep myself regulated, how I keep growing myself, and it's pretty fun actually.
Have you done any holotropic breathing? Are you familiar with that?
What's the
so holotropic is like, I'm going to kind of butcher it, but it's like kind of the science behind Wim Hof. And when you get into those deep, almost like hyperventilating states, you trigger the autonomic nervous system. And you know about DMT and how your body naturally produces DMT when you're born, when you die, and it's like extreme and near death experiences. Yeah, exactly. And so like holotropic breathing can actually get your body to produce that as well. And so people can get into those, almost like hallucinatory states just by breathing. And I learned recently about darkness retreats, deprivation retreats. Have you heard about this?
I've heard of these retreats, but not specifically. So
it's really interesting because it's similar. And again, I don't know the exact science behind it, but it's complete darkness. And so you're going to be in some sort of comfortable room with some kind of bathroom that you are able to fumble your way around through some kind of braille system or something. And, they can be anywhere from like 3 to 10 days in length, essentially. Zero social interaction, zero sound, zero light. so what happens is your body has this like inverse circadian rhythm where something in your internal clock turns off and you don't know if it's day or night anymore. And so your system is just kind of gone. You kind of like lose yourself and lose your mind, you lose your body, you get into this like ethereal realm similar to perhaps like a holotropic breathing where your body starts to produce crazy chemicals and you have all these endorphin rush. And people talk about going on wild out of body experiences just by being immersed in the dark kind of thing. I think it's so cool that we can like bring ourselves to those places as humans. I just did a great cold plunge at my house the other day. I got the chainsaw out, cut the hole in the ice. It was the last day of winter and I hadn't done it yet because every year I cut a hole in the ice up there and did the thing. We had so much snow this year, but then we had that big warm snap a couple of weeks ago. Crazy. It was in the 70s, right? Melted the feet of snow we had out there. Like, all right, got out there, did the chainsaw, did the cold plunge. It was great. It kind of got me tuned back in. Like, oh, I missed this. You know, there's something, I don't know if it's like a male thing, but like the challenge, and it's like if you're not getting challenged regularly, it's like there's something missing. You know, it's like I need a little bit more. Like life's really hard, but I need to make it just like a little more for myself. I got to push myself.
Wow, yeah, dude, I do in the ocean. You know, I've done 2.5 years, I guess. At least once a month I go in the ocean. Obviously easier in the summer, but I do it a couple times a month now. It's like I have a cold tub here and I have a sauna that I'm getting set up. So I have my whole little wellness retreat in my backyard, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to joining it for the routine.
Anytime, man. We'll sauna parties. But yeah, I had out of body like you go through.
It sounds like you did. Yeah.
There was one time I remember, and people probably, again, kind of the hocus pocus stuff, it's stuff I've experienced. Like I literally was on the ground and it was like my soul was like looking down on my body and like nothing crazy about it. It was just like this like experience and you come out of it. It's like, it's powerful stuff. And it's, you know,
it's a massive ego dissolution
things. Yeah. And it's
to separate yourself and look down and say, there I am. I'm just a meat suit.
Yeah.
You know,
this borrowed time. And I think it's helped me with my business and life and personal life is like all the stuff you think matters doesn't really matter. Right. Like the status and money and all these things that like people get attracted to. I've come back from these retreats and I'm like, I was happier than anything when I was on this retreat. Like have nothing. Just had food and people, relationships, and you realize how toxic a lot of things are. So it's how do I create that? You know, we talked about it earlier. I'm in a very like suit and tie job every day, very serious. Like, you know, I think I have a lot of fun with my clients and build the relationships, but it's people's life savings and their wealth and their future that we're dealing with and the stress of the stock market and the ups and downs of it. And what I've been able to do is to be able to, I think, be my best because I disassociate from the outcome or the attachment to those things. And I think a lot of people in my industry are not that way. They get very caught up in the ego and who they are and not talking poorly about people. I think my goal is how can I stay grounded in who I am and being a man of service and not get caught up in that world. In basketball was like that, like all of these things can try to draw you. And it's these practices to stay to who am I really beneath myself? Like, what is my purpose? What is, how do I want to show up daily from the different coaches I've worked with and continue to work with and read, and you're kind of commented on some of my books and the contrast of markets and Joe Dispenza and like, spiritual. So like, it's just,
Wim Hof, Joe Dispenza in 1929 on your shelf.
We try to stay cultured,
Yeah.
But I think that's the joy of life is like keep learning in different ways and more importantly through experiences and people. It's funny. It feels like you're an old soul with people, but it's also like we're very young and hopefully have a long life ahead of us with the things we focus on. And how do we kind of bring that education to others?
Yeah.
It's the barrier of it. Like I think a lot of Western medicine people think like, oh, spiritual meditate. I remember when I started meditating, people used to make fun of me, and now everybody wants to meditate. So it's like the cool thing to do.
It's trending,
but it's like ahead of time, right? And I asked my dad like why he started meditating in the 70s, and he's like, I felt good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a pretty simple answer. Like
Yeah.
these things are
Yeah.
can help you be happier.
Yeah. That's that anecdotal truth that I was referring to.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
So you have a quote, and I don't remember the whole quote, but it's a family quote, and I like it a lot, and it kind of aligns with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's breathe easy.
Yeah.
And what's the rest?
So it's breathe deep.
Breathe deep, thank you.
And seek peace.
And seek peace. Tell me about that quote, where it comes from, what it means to you.
I don't have any tattoos, but I think if I got a tattoo, that might be the one that I get at some point in life.
Breathe deep and seek peace.
I think it's pretty simple, but noble and wise words. It's anyone who's ever played a sport for my father or like been in his class resonates with it right away. It's like his slogan in life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly where he got it from or if he just created it, but it is his brand.
Sure.
And he's been saying it to me and my brother and my mom since, I don't know, it was long back in third, fourth grade. He worked with a lot of at-risk kids. So I think that was his way of personally, but also kind of how can he help kids who are in these like fight or flight modes and stress and drugs and alcohol, like how does he help them, make decisions? And for me, it was, basketball and all these things. I didn't really understand it. I think when we were talking about it is like, I heard it my entire life, but I never really heard what it meant or really had a grasp of it. It was just words, and now it's more of a meaning. And it is that, like, it's that centering, that breathing deep isn't just an act. It is, but it's, can you come within when there's chaos outside? Whether it's in a basketball game, a big meeting, in a river in the middle of Iceland, you always have your breath. They can always bring you back to who you are, who you want to be, in that reminder. And I think the seek peace thing, I always kind of joked with my father as like, he's kind of like a hippie growing, he was the long hair, he back in the 70s and 80s, but he's like very anti-war, very anti-violence, anything. And it's something that he's always been preaching. And it's really, I think the essence is I've come out is like that peace, that love, that joy. When you breathe deep and you come within, that's what's within everybody. And I think I know a lot of people don't feel that or realize that because they get so caught up in the ego and what's going on in the world. And it's such a simple quote, but I think it has so much wisdom that everybody can learn from, and something that I often repeat to myself when life does get sped up. And that's some fun. I think.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful in its simplicity, but it has so much depth to it. I have a lot of philosophical meaning from it. I know I appreciate it a lot. I'm going to start to use it. I'll add it to my bag of tricks. Yes. I sure do love breathing deeply, and I could seek a lot more peace in my life right now. Keegan, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for sharing this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
I look forward to
always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, cheers.
The journey goes on.